also love how this shirt...
That's your look.
I guess. Yeah, I also love how this shirt is like, look, I'm wearing a belt, but not really. It's just the print on the thing, and it's like...
Oh, or you're auditioning for a priest.
Well, I have played a minister in someone's show. I wouldn't know about that. A guy part, nonetheless. Let's talk about that a little bit. I don't know.
What were you thinking in that casting office?
It's like I have a type or something, or it's like that's going to be a theme tonight or something. So I believe that's the way to say hello, everybody, and welcome to Strange Deer. I am one of your two hosts, Koch.
I'm Juliana Valente, your other host. Hostess.
I was going to say the host on the other coast, but it's not even. You're just down the coast from me.
That's right. Host down the coast.
We are still remote for another few days anyway, before we're back in the same room.
I know. We'll be in the... Yes. And like 4 days.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited just because then I don't have to go through all the rigmarole of setting up my camera and trying to find a place in my house where the Wi-Fi is good. Thanks for bearing with us last week, guys. I had a lot of post-production qualms, but you know what? Sometimes when you're working in a week-to-week media, you just have to learn to let go of the wheel and let Jesus or the internet equivalent take hold. So at least the audio people enjoyed themselves, I hope. But we're hoping for something a lot stronger this week because I am literally using the strongest computer in the house in my editing room. So I'm out of ideas if this don't work. Just put it that way.
We're doing our best.
Oh man. So how was your week, Juliana? How you doing?
I had a really good week. This week is like for me getting ready to go back up to Jersey and a lot of like, teaching type
all the business that goes
to straighten out, packing.
How was the end run of Hamilton's? Did you enjoy your
fun times? Yay. So worth it. Great. And it made me think, we need to like bring this up to Jersey, New York area.
Oh, God. Because
it would be
freaking heartbeat.
Yeah. So, theaters and producers out there, I would love to work with you on this.
Hamilton's. I'd be down for that.
Throw that out there to the universe.
Yay. Whereas I had a show-free week. I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. It's been cleaning up so I can host our crazy 1776 family here on Memorial Day weekend.
That's coming very soon.
Very soon.
I believe I signed up to bring chips and salsa.
It's all good.
The staple of the Addams household up in Braintree.
I did hear that apart from smallpox, you were known for your chips, Mr. Addams.
Yeah, and making crazy margaritas.
I'm actually happy because my wife's coming too, so the Jefferson's gonna be representing, and my wife does good baked goods. I'm just saying that's not a euphemism, or is it? But we're circling around acting stuff, so I guess that's why tonight's theme is so kind of. We're going light this week. We went with heavy feminism last week, which was fun, but we're kind of going into our wheelhouse tonight, right? What are we talking about?
Yes, we're going to be talking. We're talking specifically about like what's on your resume, and I guess I'm particularly. What'd you say?
What's your type? That's the theater.
What's your type? That's right. Yeah, exactly. What's your type? Not what's your sign.
Well. That's a slightly different party.
That's the follow-up question. We're talking about type, we're talking about resume, we're talking about, and really this is not just specifically to the fellow theater geeks out there, but I guess it is.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's kind of where our wheelhouse lives. And you know what? If there's one thing people know about us from the show so far, it's that we are both working actors. So kind of going into this area, I think we attract working actors to us. So having these conversations is kind of fantastic. Like when we were pitching ideas of something that's just sort of light and kind of easy to chat about, this came right to the top of the list, and we haven't done it yet. So we're going to be talking about today, strange casting, dear.
I like it. It's a strange world.
It's a strange thing.
And maybe if you are not a theater person, but you're theater adjacent, someone who's in the theater world, this might possibly blow your mind as far as like things that maybe other professionals never have to think about.
Yeah. There are things that we specifically deal with, including me awkwardly fixing my shirt. This is one of my audition shirts. Juliana was like, let's wear clothes that we'd wear for audition. And so I pulled out a shirt that I haven't worn in a hot second, and also I have managed to get back to my summer weight, as I like to think of it. So this is fitting nice tonight. Apologies. Apologies.
So what's your go-to like uniform?
My uniform? It's tough because I feel like this is going to start bleeding into our first segment, so I'm going to watch this. But like I feel like my casting type at times can be a Rorschach test. So I try to wear something that's true to me, that makes me feel
Yeah.
comfortable in the room, that,
Yeah.
looks like me on a good day. Absolutely. Not like I just rolled out of bed, although there are roles that could call for that. I try to look put together, and I also, this is one of those conversations I have with people. Is it a skirt? Is it pants? What do you do? I'm a pants person. Maybe something that's a little flowier, because I'm over half of my height is my legs. So let's accent what we got, and not accent what we don't got. Hemlines are weird on me. So anyway, yeah. What's your go-to? What do you?
It's funny that you mentioned skirts versus pants because even though I my estrogen comes in the room before I do, like I
Aw.
read very girly, I'm curvy.
Gee, I wouldn't have ever figured that about you, dear. Not at all.
Like yeah. Sugar and spice and everything nice. No. I tend to, and maybe it's because I try to tone it down a little bit and my personality, like I'm pretty aggressive, as well,
Yeah.
other times too. So anyway, my go-to uniform is jeans
Mhm.
and a cute top, or jeans and a t-shirt and a blazer. Jeans, t-shirt, blazer is
Nice.
my number one go-to for an audition. It even if it's a period piece, because again, I have like a classic period face, so really all I have to do is pull my hair back and
There you go. There you go.
yeah, I don't. I feel like I have to work harder actually for contemporary pieces, um, to come in a little bit more as cool girl.
It's a funny, there we are flipping the thing round, because I think one of the last things I ever get looked at for is period. I'm very contemporary.
Which
So,
is so funny because
yeah.
you actually are so great at crafting period characters.
Again, Rorschach test. I kind of
Yeah.
walk into the room and go, "What do you see, guys?"
Uh-huh.
I'm an ink blot, and it's fun. It's actually cool. I don't mind it. I've been leaning
And
into it recently.
that's a lovely way to describe actually what we do and kind of just set the tone really for the themes that will follow.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. So you walk in the room. Have you ever been miscast?
Or at least felt like I was a little bit in over my head. It's tough for me because since college, I've actually roll up to the bar here, kids. I've taken off about 80 to 90 pounds since my college days, so my type mutated a lot from that. That said, when I was at my peak weight, I was cast as Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls, which I still consider to be one of my favorite roles that I've ever played, because I just don't get looked at for ingenue. And I, not tooting my own horn, but I did win a Theater Association of New York State award for it. But the critique I got from the adjudicator, we call them, has always sort of stuck with me, because it was like, "You were really surprisingly talented. You're a very atypical Sarah Brown." And yeah, it burned a little, but at the same time, and that wasn't like what, by the way, tipped me off and being like, "I need to lose weight and like have a eating disorder." It was nothing like that. I'll talk later about more. I realized when I was talking about theater, I was like, I can't not go into this aspect of my life,
Yeah.
because my type has changed so radically. But
Yeah.
I think that Sarah Brown was a miscast for me. It would be interesting for me to go back to it now. And I would love to go back to it now, actually.
Yeah. And you should.
From classic musical theater, she's actually one of those roles with a little bit more agency than some.
I think you are. I can see you in that role so easily. I never saw you do it, but it's very easy for me to see you do that.
I'll send you pictures. I have a little video too, but I would love to get another crack at that, because I feel like that might be one of those things where people looked at me initially and went, "God, she's not right for that role." But I'd love to have another crack at it
Yeah.
down the line. What about you? Have you ever felt miscast in anything specific?
Well, I believed I was miscast once. And I have to thank Scott Goldman for miscasting me. I thought he was miscasting me. I auditioned for Morticia Adams in Addams Family,
Oh,
and he instead cast me as Alice.
Alice is such a good part, man.
One of the best things that ever happened to me. It was actually the first musical theater that I ever did, because before then I only did classical theater and opera and operetta. We talked about Gilbert and Sullivan.
We had such a Gilbert and Sullivan conversation. We're going to be revisiting that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first taste of musical theater, and I was like, what? And it felt so good to do that role. It was great. Yeah. So thank you, Scott Golden, for miscasting me as a character role. Absolutely loved it. Other than that, there's a little bit of consistency. I would say more consistency in my resume. This is like one thing I've got going for me.
So we'll roll into what exactly our types are, I guess, after a transition bumper break.
That's it.
So on the other side of our first break, literally we're like on the other side of the break because of the way I've been re-editing this lately, and it makes me happy it slides. Anyhow, we're talking about kind of what our types are, and Juliana, first, let's talk about what type is.
Yeah, when was the first time you heard the word type? Do you remember?
Probably the first time I ever did any theater, to be honest with you, which would have been my 8th grade musical Fiddler on the Roof. Hello. The daughters.
Way back then.
What?
Way back then.
Yeah, that it was. I mean, because I was also working with much older. There were seniors in that cast who were looking into college, and they were talking.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I was. This surprises people who know me now, but I was a super shy kid. Like, I'd sit in the room and listen to you and absorb things and then recall things later that you didn't think I was paying attention to. But I barely opened my mouth when I was little, so I would listen in to things really carefully. So yeah. I think I remember hearing type from our Tevye and our, Lazar Wolf talking. So
I didn't hear the word type until I started making the transition. Even in theater, where I studied, since it was so much classical theater, there's not quite so much of an emphasis on type if you're going to do just a lot of really old theater.
Right.
That's set in period pieces in the world I came from. But in opera, we call it Fach, F-A-C-H. Fach.
Okay.
It's a German word for make, or pigeonhole.
Yep.
And that is, Germans, they like to organize things.
Yeah.
So it is a way to organize voice types, right? I guess I thought of it as, I knew the word type, but it was all tied into, yes, a little bit of your look, but mostly the things that your voice could do.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I transitioned into theater and musical theater, primarily, I had to start thinking of my package in a whole different way.
Right.
Because your voice is almost like the last.
It's
the puzzle in a lot of musical theater.
Yep.
And maybe even I have found, and to great disappointment, and this may be just because I'm a voice nerd, I have found that even theater folk don't put a lot of aren't paying a lot of attention to how the voice is used on stage. Yeah.
I'm going there with you.
It's a rabbit trail.
Well, no, it's not at all, because honestly, when we get into type, it's a real toughie for me, because without feeling too boastful, I always knew when we were doing this episode, I was going to have to toe a line here, because I always feel like I'm bragging when I talk like this, but I've been told endlessly that I could sing any role, but gosh darn, I just don't look it. I think I even said this in our first episode. That was one of those things that actually initially got me to break away from theater for a while, because I was just fed up with it. They put so far ahead of the fact that I could sing this part, how do I look, and what does she look like, and what's her type, and that I was just like, I'm done, and I walked out of the room, and yet here I am back in the room. So let's just cut right to the chase. What type did you find yourself landing in coming out of the classical world?
Well, I try. So, like I said, the first thing I did was Alice, and I learned the great joy of surrendering completely to character.
Yep.
So even though if I were going to a general audition, as in like it's someone's season or you're auditioning for several theaters at one time, I do go in as leading lady.
Got it.
That's my energy, kind of base line energy. But if it's a specific piece, like especially in Shakespeare, I do tend to go toward the character roles because it's more fun for me.
We do have fun on this side of the fence, dear. I'll let you know that.
Yeah, especially in contemporary pieces, and also like film type stuff. I really read on film as mom or cool aunt, which is okay.
Yeah.
But unless it were, I don't even know, on stage is a little bit easier to, when you have a three-dimensional character right in front of you.
Yeah.
There's more variety, I think, in what you can play. But I would say, like, if I were to go, I'm really quite neutral between leading lady and comic character. Or maybe I could say, this is the fun thing about type, is it kind of depends, like the context depends, right. Is going to color what you say you are a little bit. So comic leading lady.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
But being over 30 is like, I'm not going to be leading lady in a Disney show.
Yeah, no, neither of us are going to be playing a princess anytime soon, I don't think.
Anyway, isn't that nice though, right?
Oh man, no. Well, it's interesting. You're saying like being over 30 now. It's funny because I feel like, God, my dear theater mentor Debbie May, who was my mother in the theater realm in so many ways, once very kindly took me aside and said, "Honey, you couldn't play 18 when you were 18." And right. I got what she meant, because my energy is much more mature / wacky, which I think is why I did treasure Sarah so much, because that was much more that was outside of my box. Prior to that, I really landed squarely in the character actor category / when it was like at a collegiate level, I was playing the older women, because you didn't actually have a 60-year-old to play, Miss Mackay in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, or Vita Simmons in Harvey. Like, that was kind of where I was getting shoved. And this was also all pre-weight loss and sort of what I've kind of thought is my weird straddling type transition, moving from one category. What was interesting was, after a couple years down here, going back to my college campus and having one of my professors sit down with me and go, "You totally changed your type." And I missed the opportunity in that moment to say to him, "Well, what do you see me as now?" Which would have been the perfect question to ask.
That's right.
Because I sort of swim since then. But like I said in our opening segment, I think I've sort of come to kind of characterize myself as a bit of a Rorschach test. I'll put down charactery, secondary type. I'm not opposed to leading lady if that's where you see me. I'm also, as you joked, and you're not wrong, I am a good choice if they don't have enough men come out for the show and they need someone to fill that slot.
But here's why. Because Kay, you are a very versatile actor. You throw yourself right into it, and your voice does pretty much anything you ask it to do. Uh-huh. So for a director casting you in that role, it's because you're like a Swiss Army knife of actors.
And you know what? And I'm cool with it. I actually came to a place after a while where I was like, this isn't a bad thing. I think I was lamenting not being able to put in a box, and I realized how very odd a statement that is now, going, it's actually not a bad thing. It does mean when they're typing people out, I get looks sometimes, like they're not quite sure. So when we have the type conversation, for me, it's a little bit of a weird thing.
Yeah.
But
so if you're not in theater, or you're theater adjacent, or just lurking, what are the elements that go into determining your type?
Right. Yeah.
Not your actual age, but the age that you look.
Yeah.
Both you and I actually had the issue of we've always seemed like grown-ups, like responsible people when we walk in the room. So we automatically tend to get cast and maybe older than our actual ages.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to cast us there. Okay, so the way we look, the age we look, and our actual look, right?
Sure.
And then you mentioned weight. That's been a big thing for me. When I'm thin, I am more likely to get cast as a villainess.
Wow.
I have a very angular face.
Got it.
And I tend to have very good posture
Round.
and a little bit of a lifted nose. So when I'm thin,
Yeah.
I'm very Cruella de Vil-esque. And as I've been, dealing with baby weight and such, I do tend to walk the line of either like bombshell, chaotic comic woman, or like, a mom, or really,
I get it. Yeah.
Everybody needs a bosom for a pillow, and I got plenty.
It occurs to me, audio-only people, when Juliana's talking about how angular she is when her weight's down, I'm drawing a circle around my head because I got a melon. I got a little nose and a melon. So it's actually funny. One of the things for Jefferson that I do is I really lean into contour because he was a very thin, angular guy. And I'm like, that's not my face at all, children. So I need help. I need help in a major way.
So we actors, sometimes when we talk about our looks, it's because it is a career moment for us, right? And anytime, and I'm known for, among all my friends, they know that my hair color changes all the time. The hair length changes all the time. I wear extensions frequently to auditions and in shows. And it's because it is really essential to us working is knowing our type, knowing what our face looks like. It is truly important to know what our face looks like, what our body looks like.
Say you're a theater adjacent person who works in, I don't know, well, this sounds awful, real estate or something. You know your market, you know what you're going to be able to, you know what's going to move and what's going to sit there for a while. It really is, as an actor, your product is yourself. And the better you know the functions of your Swiss Army knife, what have you, the better off you're going to be as far as castability and working and longevity.
And then it's not just your exterior look, but it's also, and not to get too woo-woo, but it's also your energy in the room.
Right, absolutely.
Right. So I lead with a little bit bossy energy. We know I have RBF in a big way, but I'm also like a real nerd, and I tend to laugh a little bit too loud.
I had to learn to kind of not apologize for being again. All of this stuff that people who know me now go, really? And I'm like, oh no, literally, like, I also deal with anxiety. Hey, this is about being open actor person right now. There's nothing more triggering if you already have an anxiety condition than waiting for a casting call. So I think sometimes I just let it kind of build up on my back. And like I was very guilty of, letting things roll into the next audition and not necessarily letting it go and not being me in the room. And that's not something you get over overnight. That's something you kind of evolve. You just learn to be around people. And I think maybe I could blame a little bit of it me being an only child, but quite honestly, it was kind of my little turtle shell personality for many, many years. And I wasn't doing myself any favors, and I wasn't getting bookings. I was getting bookings from people who knew people, was basically how it was going. They're like, don't worry, once she opens up, you're going to like working with her. But it was much to my detriment. So once I sort of had a real come to Jesus over that, I discovered that doors were opening up for me. So being honest about yourself and your type, and knowing kind of what your little strengths and talents are, which I think is sort of the next segment we're going to be rolling.
Yeah. So what are your like top 3 selling points? Just like black and white, if we were agents talking about this other person, Koch, what are the top 3 things?
I have an ability to sell verbally dense dialogue and lyrics.
Okay.
like
Yeah.
the patter song,
Uh-huh.
the more intricate the song, like as much as my husband hates Stephen Sondheim, it's that kind of thing, because not everybody can get their head around these things. But I always saw it as a challenge. Like even back from when I was a really little kid, I had a thing for words. I have a thing for selling those kind of things, which I guess also is what leads me into character type parts, because you kind of give those funny, quirky, cutesy, rhymey things to your secondary character. What else? What else would be a selling point for me? Vocally, my range, because I do have a stronger low register, and also a high range that I was afraid of for many, many years. Because I was like, but I'm not a pretty soprano. I'm an alto. I harmonize. And they're like, no, honey, you can go up high. And I guess just kind of, again, the word that I keep gets thrown at me is like versatile. Like I can approach a bunch of different parts, and you know, not always immediately unlock them, but with work, get inside the piece and find out. I've had more fun on roles that I didn't think I was right for, to be honest. So,
Hmm.
yeah. What are your selling points?
Um, well, I was gonna add one in for you.
Yeah.
You're a quick study. You read music and your ear is very good, so you're a
Mhm.
quick study there. That's a selling point.
Thank you.
I mean,
I appreciate
to
that.
me as a as fellow actor and as someone who's directed you,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. I would say for me would be similar vocalism. I'm a dramatic coloratura soprano. So even though I have a pretty high range, I can also belt.
Yep.
So a lot of people who have heard me in one thing or the other
Mhm.
would be surprised that I do.
Yep.
I will belt. I belt the entire 1776. There's no really opportunity to do anything else.
Gee, it's not like you were singing a part written for a baritone or anything.
I would say my the look of the character. I'm good at creating the look of the character.
Climbed inside my head, because you do have a very strong visual sense.
And I think that's because that's the way I work. Like that's how I
Mhm.
see what we do.
Yep.
Yeah, but I consider that a strength. And then also, I guess I don't know what else to call this, but I'm good at being quiet on stage and still telling a story.
Mm-hmm. Stillness
Yeah.
is hard. That sounds like such a paradox, but it really is um, a challenge. Which to me feels like we're bleeding back into a little bit of the hands conversation, which, by the way, I'm totally doing this moment right now. Hi, Michael. The hands conversation about when suddenly you're on stage, it's like I have these appendages, and what the heck do I do with them? It's the things that you think seem so obvious, when suddenly, though, now you're out in the middle of the stage by yourself, or even with other people on stage, going, oh, okay then. It's that stillness, which I recognize that I struggle with that. I
Oh.
appreciate that you have a strength with that, because I always feel like I need to fill the room, like I need to be constantly entertaining and showing off or something. Is there a term?
There's a thing that I said, and I think you were on. I know I've said this in a room that you've been in before. I say this all the time, but one of the most important like aha moments to me as an actor, very very young, I was probably under 10, was when I saw Cinderella, and one of the really great lines, I have a secret, I am beautiful, and a lot of like being still and being quiet, it just
Right.
has to do with like having a secret.
Yes, correct.
I'm gonna kill you.
Oh boy,
whatever
that's a
your
good time of
secret is,
transition.
whatever your whatever your secret is, you can use that to be still.
I'm going to kill you. No. That's a total whatever rabbit hole. I can cut this later. When at high school drama club, we did a play, murder mystery, right after it was like the fall after September 11th, when there was like the anthrax scares and stuff. Like we were doing this murder mystery, which was pretty intense, with bodies dropping and things. And the one thing that the administration refused to let us have were actual guns on stage, like even prop ones with like
Yeah.
caps on them. So our murderer had to, and it was tougher on us as the guys who were being threatened than him. He had to come up to us and go, "I'm going to kill you," with his finger gun. On not this rehearsal, in the show. I'm going to kill you. Pew pew. Yes. Hey Juliana.
Hey Kay, what's your personal favorite platform for social media and staying connected?
Well, I will thank you for getting me into Instagram because I enjoy it, but I will honestly say that I am a tweeter. I like tweeting.
Twitter overwhelms me. I prefer Instagram. So this is just a little reminder that you can follow us on both Instagram @StrangeDear and on Twitter @StrangeDear. You can just follow our hashtag #StrangeDear. And on Facebook, we are @StrangeDear as well.
Everything is @StrangeDear. Finger guns. I'm really excited about this one because this is that part of the resume that literally gets stuck at the bottom of the page, but in a lot of ways I think it makes people the most unique in the room if you just have a casting person who's willing to read that far and go, oh, special skills, it says here you. So Juliana, what have you got in your special skills spot on the resume?
Okay, I'm gonna read you verbatim.
Okay.
Puppeteering, 6 years. Musical instruments, guitar, ukulele, piano, flute, piccolo. Stage combat, hand-to-hand, daggers, swords. Martial arts, tai chi, kung fu. Dialects, British, BBC and Mid-Atlantic. Southern, clean and exaggerated. French, German, Italian.
Nice.
That's all I got. I did not put down that I have a driver's license.
Some people, and actually, you know what? If we are going to continue to try to keep the door open a little bit for non-theater type, we should mention why people do put that in there, though, okay? Why generally do people put on I drive? Because that sounds so dumb.
Well, I think I could be wrong. The reasons I think is because sometimes you're hired as an assistant stage manager. Also, if this is like an LA type thing, it's a matter of transportation. I don't know.
No, if you are a city type, particularly, this is how I always had it explained to me as well. Not everybody drives. If you're a Manhattan bound person, if you're a Manhattan bound actor doing a lot of stage, literally a car is basically just a hindrance to you because you got to pay for parking at places and you're going to get there.
Why put that in your special skills? I feel like that's kind of an outdated one.
And it can be. I think it's one of those things that I do see a little bit less. Not that I've been on the other side of the casting table too often, but I don't see it as much anymore. I think it might be, I think it's a little bit old school, but driver's licenses sometimes on people's resumes. So, shall I special skills?
I'm excited about yours.
All right, special skills, puppeteering, FX design and performance, because I do in fact build Muppet style puppets. Someday we'll have to do an episode where I take us downstairs to where the weirdos next door live. Instruments, piano, bass guitar.
What? I didn't know that.
I play the bass. I love the bass.
We need to get a band.
That's the rock and roller in me. Recorder, because I wanted to be cute and funny and memorable. Various percussion, which I did have someone ask me once if I played spoons. So sincerely, I did.
My brother plays the spoons. What about the fish with the stick on it?
Yes.
You rub.
Various percussion. I let them fill in the blank. I also put on their effects makeup. I specialize in wounds, bruising, and kind of like zombie-esque stuff. That can come in handy.
Yeah.
And then my miscellany, which makes me happy. Juggling. I am an
I knew juggling was going to be on there.
I love juggling. Stage combat. I sadly do not have the same experience with pointy objects that you do. I'm much more a fisticuffs type stage. Actually,
I think that comes with classical theater type stuff. You have to do swords.
I've been told I play a good victim for whatever that's worth. And then the one that I appreciate the once or twice this has been asked in the room. Frighteningly accurate, quote, baby noises.
I have heard these baby noises.
And I used it on stage. I used it on stage in Baby, and I used it on ironic. Yeah, right, Baby. You can't. I was born at the end of every show, literally. And I actually used it in Into the Woods. I played Rapunzel / the baker's kid at the end. I had actual cues in the score when the baker is hushing his baby.
Oh, wow.
So
Amazing.
random skill to have, but I make baby noises.
So what else? What all have you been called on in an audition?
Of the special skill set.
Yeah, on your special skills.
Juggling, I've had called out in the room, and then those who actually are looking to use the circus skills angle of it, they want to know kind of your how the word's escaping me right now. Volume is what I want to say, but I'm comfortable with 3. I can kick the wall out to 4. If I'm pairs juggling, I can do more because I got another person. Which I juggle.
That you're juggling?
Silks, cigar boxes. I'm terrified of bowling pins. Because that's a lot of weight. But so I've had that called out in the room. Like I said, I've had baby noises called out just because I specifically phrase it on there, frighteningly accurate, to see who's paying attention.
Yeah.
Mostly those, because it would be weird for them to be like, so let me see your best bruise makeup right now. Like that less of that. What about you? Have you had any of these called out in the room?
I get my accents.
Okay.
Which are like fun to do. And then guitar, quite a bit actually.
Nice. So when you play Maria Von Trapp, you can just write.
That's a role I'll never play.
Crack out a little doe deer.
Let's start at the very beginning.
We could just let's start with like a quick recap of why it's important to think about your typing, that a lot of your brain power. Yeah. Specifically like in the audition setting, because if you don't like auditioning, we're gonna run into problems getting cast into things.
Yeah.
Right?
You fail to get cast in 100% of the auditions you don't go on, first of all, let's be clear. But yeah, so go.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to know when you're going into an audition, you've got to know where to stand out and where to fit in. A lot of people have so in their head that they're going to stand out that they end up betraying their type. You want to fit in when it comes to your resume. Your resume, if you squint your eyes, it should look like everybody else's resume. You don't really need, crazy fonts and colors and like lots of designs. Your resume should look kind of boring if you're not actually reading the words, right? And where to stand out, you don't necessarily, obviously if you're auditioning for cop number 3, obviously you don't want to come in your your sexy cop costume from last year's Halloween.
I'm back. There's a mental image.
There is a quote from a type designer, and I cannot remember his name, as in typography, like fonts and creation. That way, yeah. And I can't remember who it is. So listeners, if you know who said this, please remind me. He says this: originality is a claim of the ignorant. Excellence is a claim of the brave.
Oh, that's
good. So we're not necessarily having to. We have to realize this has all been done before, and we're not necessarily in the room to like
reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, reinvent the wheel, pave new territory.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about being miscast, really the only time that cast outside of a traditional type is a failure is when it's drawing attention to itself. When you're successful in it, it's invisible. Your cast members aren't really thinking about it, audience members, and if people get weird and catty about it, that's on them. Mm-hmm. But most of the time when you're casting outside of traditional casting, if you're doing it right, people aren't going to think, oh, how uncommon. And that's on my brain a lot, thinking about Hamilton stuff.
Yeah.
But also we got to remember that type is branding. More actors, we need to understand that's an opportunity. That's not something to trap us. Sometimes we will complain, especially when the casting breakdowns come out and they're like, the lead character, she's 27, attractive.
Especially
you know,
women, there is, oh boy, this is gonna threaten to pull us down the sinkhole of last week's episode, but how much more annoyingly specific and like weirdly verbed women's casting breakdowns
oh,
are than men.
yeah.
I'm like, I've never met this person you're describing, but right now this is just reading like bad fan fiction. So,
Yeah, it can be horrifying,
yeah.
but we need to make it our friend
Yeah.
because it's not going to go away, and it's a real thing. It's a real part of our business. The thing that's beautiful about typing is its utility. If you've ever gone to an open call and you get typed, I love getting typed because then I'm not sitting around for
Saves you
another 2 or
time.
3 hours waiting to
Boy.
go see it once they don't see me
Boy.
the role. So if
Yeah,
we understand the function of our type,
Yeah.
that also, and I talk about this a lot with my actors, if you understand how your type functions on stage, that is serving both you and the audience. It becomes a part of your given circumstances. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
you're able to be quiet because your type is speaking for you. Just the way we people watch. People watching is fun because it's real humans unselfconsciously going about their day being their own type kind of naturally.
Yeah.
So knowing how to type, if you're for directors and casting directors, that is an art.
Oh,
But
yeah.
knowing your own type, that is art.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of the package that you're offering.
Indeed.
It's your business card that like walks in the door before you do.
Again, pursuant to the point made earlier about how as an actor you are your product. So the better you know your product and the better you the more you know all of its facets and how people perceive it and how they might utilize it, the better off you're going to be.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
Speaking of your product and taking care of your product, this was my suggestion to add onto this episode, and we're calling it an actor maintains or actor maintenance, if you will, because and I guess this has especially come up to me because I am coming off of a rather intense period of shows overlapping, and how I kept myself from falling down the hole of getting really sick. Because it's interesting how the body has this tendency to react to stress by, shutting down and whatnot. So we each kind of came up with 3 points of things that we do, and we're gonna alternate. So did you want to go first with your point? Okay.
Yeah, I'll start. My first tip for longevity and endurance is about mental health. I don't know why I'm laughing about this.
Oh, no.
I'm laughing because
I hear you. Yeah.
It's such a big deal to me personally as an actor, and obviously knowing actors, to be able to separate the business from the art. I really think of the business side of it, and that means like getting into auditions, how you're doing auditions, following up, like staying in touch, all that to me. Social media.
You gotta do it.
I think of that this being much closer to retail than art.
True enough.
Because it's this combination, especially these days. Right now, getting cast is a combination of magic, science, and business.
Freaking being
all happening, at the same time. So this is for my mental health. I separate departments and even different rooms or places in my house where I work on certain things. I'm such a visual, physical person that I don't work on my business stuff in the same place that I worked on my character stuff or breaking down a script. I use different places that helps me be able to flip a switch. I think of, this is so nerdy, I hope you will forgive me. I think of my business, show business brain and my poet brain as being like Edison and Tesla. Edison, like the patent king, he wants to make things work and then sell them. It's like money, turn it around, do it right, sell it. Then the Tesla part of my brain is out there creating characters, obsessive, intuitive, theoretical, visual, tormented, naive, willing to dig ditches for $2 a day. I don't care what you pay me, just let me do my stuff. Whereas like the Edison's part of my brain is like, come on girl, you're worth more than that. Yeah. So And because when I take care of the mental aspect, I'm able to come to my art with no judgment. I'm not judging my character. So if my character is a nasty person, it's okay with me. I'm not taking it personally because it becomes an artistic pursuit, right? So the content, the inner life of my character, there's no judgment there, and I'm not afraid of like, what will it do to my career if I play, Nellie Olson?
Play too many Disney villains. How will
Disney
they ever
villains.
see me as anything else? How will I play
Mother in Ragtime now?
How will I play Maria von Trapp with all of those children and my guitar?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's actually I love that as a tip. And of my three, I also address health mental, and you're laughing about it and I'm laughing a little bit about it too. But it really is sort of a
I laugh because it's such a thing.
No, but it is though.
That nobody ever talks about.
No, it is though. And my three tips, I'm finding myself sort of going very basic, almost like a 101 sort of thing. Because like I said, being somebody who's been through sort of a radical shift in my type and a shift in a lot of my mentality and stuff, I think about where I was at and how I moved myself. So one of the things from the mental aspect, I mean, as simple as journaling. And believe it or not, this is something, because people also look at me like, how'd you lose all the weight, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you've got to unpack your relationship to a lot of things. And for somebody who isn't, first of all, I'm a lifelong diarist. I always wrote when I was a kid. I filled up spiral bound notebooks. That's just the way I am. And yeah, I'm a very pen and paper type. I'm probably the most pen and paper person I know. But when it comes to journaling, I'm like, just write, just get it all out. And you know what? If you're not a pen and paper person, type. For the love of God, type. I actually have a journal that I keep on my computer that I'm using more these days just because the thoughts come fast, the typing's faster. That's fine. Don't judge yourself on that. And again, if you're not a person who's like, well, dear diary, today I felt such ennui about my position in the universe. It's something as simple as like catalog the feelings you went through during the day. And if you can, you associate it to the time of day, associate it to, what behaviors came along with that. I associate it with what I was eating because I discovered I was a very emotional eater. But when you're kind of trying to unpack how you relate to the world, and this is a very, how can you build other characters until you sort of realize how you yourself relate to things. It's something as simple as that, and you let it go where it's going to go from there. So journaling for me has always been huge. I also have always been a person who, in my character work, I write in character.
Yes, I know this from being on stage with you.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. It's just something I've always done, and like I said, don't undervalue that in yourself. Just get it out there. Sometimes people think actors spend a lot of time on an analyst's couch. It's the cheapest analyst's couch of all is just sitting down and writing your stuff out to yourself.
Agreed. Yeah.
That would be my number one tip too. So where else you got? What else you got going on?
Okay, here's one. I guess this is mental too. Be okay with disappearing and being unavailable physically or emotionally.
I like
so
that.
I've been using the term disappearing a lot, as in I'm not reachable anyway. I can't even be there for hugs or cuddles because my whole brain, my whole body is occupied doing my work. And I have found that's given, because I have kids, I have a family. I have found that knowing that time is coming in the day, like hours in the day, they are coming where I'm going to be unavailable.
Right.
That helps me again organize my mind and not do that. Sometimes we panic if there's an off book date coming, or we should be doing more social media or something. Just knowing that there's going to be a time of day that I'm just unavailable, both physically and emotionally. And if you see me walk through the kitchen to get more apple cider vinegar and fizzy water, I'm not available. I'm just a ghost.
No, and from a practical standpoint, also carving out time for yourself. I think in our society we are hardwired, especially as women, to believe to be told that's selfish, to not make yourself available at all times. But really, securing me time makes you all the more present when you are there with other people, because you don't resent it, because you don't feel like you're being tugged constantly 24/7. Like, that's huge. And this bleeds into my second point pretty well too, because while I do not have kids, I had discovered that my ability to spread myself thin was incredibly big. Like, once I stopped being afraid of the world, I kind of wanted to do everything, which is lovely and all, but you burn out both ends. That candle burns down real fast if you're not careful. So one of the things, and again, Kay's tips are very 101, is do not be afraid to carve out time for sleep. Dear God, sleep.
Yes.
Because, people are like that, well, there's a study that suggests that maybe I should be, a 24-hour clock, and I should sleep 2 hours here, and then be up and functional. You know what? No. Here's how the human body works, basically. No biology degree. Just have done a lot of reading. You literally, when you hit the deeper levels of sleep, your body releases human growth hormone. You cannot replicate that with any amount of supplementation. Your body is a machine. Nature evolved it in a way. Nature sort of knows what it's doing, I'm inclined to believe. So while I do not believe you need an 8 hours, like the good old chestnut that the doctor will give you, 8 hours sleep every night. We all kind of have our zone where we have a right amount of sleep. For me, I'm optimal at about 7. Like, that's just how I am. But it rebuilds your bodies in ways you can't replicate, through supplementation, through diet, through this, that, and the other thing. Literally, if I'm to a place in my day where I could either work out right now or get sleep, and I'm running at 5 hours or less, I will sleep. And it is better for me, because, not only, am I fatigued and I could injure myself in that workout, ultimately my body is going to do more for me, being able to rest up a little bit and restore my mental reserves, my physical, than anything else. So be sacrosanct, be religious about your sleep. Even if you're not an actor, by the way, still opening up that wall to people who are a tangent. Are you struggling a little bit? Are you feeling kind of, just get your sleep, man. Find a way. Find a way.
Didn't we cancel or postpone a recording of an episode because we needed naps?
It was 1776. We overbooked ourselves. We thought that we could do a recording session before an evening show. And we are so dead. I was like, I'm not going to have anything on this stage tonight if I do this right now. So literally, prioritize your sleep, people. Prioritize your sleep.
That's so good.
It's so 101, but it's so key. Literally, yeah.
Because you come home from a show or rehearsal, and I know I'm so hyper.
It's tough. Well, that's the one.
And nobody's home, and like you have to, like, you can watch whatever you want.
Yeah, or like
whatever you want.
We all go out to eat afterwards, so we're making horrible food decisions at like 11:30 at night, and like, those things happen. It's just, don't be afraid to, in carving out your me time, carve out your sleep time. Just do it. Just do it. So, Juliana, tip number 3 is?
Okay, I got a bonus. This is going to be quick. This is a one-liner.
Yep.
Find your people. Find your tribe.
I love that. It makes it a lot easier. Mine is actually a pretty quick one-liner, too, because in my vocal health, the number one thing that I bring out to you is hydration. You need to stay high. Actually, beyond.
Oh, really?
Oh, my. Hang on. But joking aside, kind of like sleep replenishes your body in ways that no amount of supplementation can. We spend a lot of time overthinking good old hydration. And I'm not going to give you the boilerplate 8 ounces, blah, 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 a day. You can tell if you're underhydrated. Just look in your toilet. Hi, this is the part of me being blunt here.
Oh,
you can tell.
No, I was going to say, there's a my voice teacher used to always say, sing wet, pee clear.
Yes. You know what? We're going to go here right now. I don't care if this gives us an explicit.
I think that's the name of the episode.
If your pee looks like apple juice, you be dehydrated, bro.
And you're not going to perform so well.
No, because also your skin's going to look kind of gray.
Not dewy and...
Yeah, underhydrated is a bad thing, so drink. So in summation, what I'm saying to you is you want to journal, you want to sleep, and you want to hydrate. Perhaps not simultaneously, because 2 of those things... I wouldn't try to drink things while sleeping.
Play that tape forward.
It turns into dry drowning, which I'm not recommending. But and in summation... And my favorite segment that we've we're making a regular thing now, is what is making you strange this week, dear. So Juliana, what you got going on?
Okay, what's making me feel strange thoughts and feel strange feelings I haven't felt in a long time
Just got concerningly awkward.
is Cameron Britton,
Okay.
who, if you saw Mindhunter, most musical theater people would be swooning over the fact that Jonathan Groff is the lead in Mindhunter. Were you swooning? Was that your swoon right there?
I don't swoon well.
Swoon?
I'm a spaz when I swoon.
Okay. Well, to me, the highlight of the show was the actor who played Ed Kemper. His
Right.
name is Cameron Britton. If you are a person who's ever gotten their feelings hurt that you were not cast as the lead, you were instead cast as a secondary character or a guest character, Cameron Britton delivers you the best bitch slap in his performance.
I love how
Get your life right. We do not have time for this, people, because Cameron Britton establishes himself as one of the best actors I have absolutely ever seen. And it's not just me. Lots of crazy actor nerds are talking about what an amazing performance he delivered. So I do not want to hear it, people. So I just started 2 nights ago, I started watching the show Barry, which is an HBO short series.
Yep.
It is so good, and I literally jumped off the couch and screamed with excitement when I saw Cameron Britton play one of these detectives, and he does it again. It's a teeny tiny role, similar. Not the exact type that you would walk in the room. It's also very dry, but I was like, man, this is so good. Like, okay, let me tell you what's really making me feel crazy about this guy right now.
Okay.
He's not performative. He's like fully engages in his character in their life and physical life. But there was a Vulture article just yesterday that talks about him being a preschool teacher and a babysitter. And in fact, in season 1 of Mindhunter, he was still babysitting, nannying. And that makes me love him even more.
Well,
that he's like great with kids. And he like specialized in special needs kids, 18 months to 3 years old.
Wow.
So how strange is that?
Oh, that's fantastic. That's strange / fantastic. That's just really, really cool. It's so funny how we've been strange in a similar vein than this.
Are you crutching too?
I am. Well, it's interesting because I thought about it last week until my life was hijacked by Yanny Laurel, which I do. Thankfully, as internet things go, it's pretty much died down at this point.
Thank you.
But what I was thinking, I was like, I had something way better I want to talk about last week. And in fact, I had, because on the day that we were recording last week, they dropped the trailer for a movie that I have been dying to see. That I have
Jurassic World.
Every single... What?
Jurassic World?
No. Think about Kay. Think about what Kay loves. Think about one of our full episodes about rock and roll, about classic rock. Think about that we have just dropped the trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody, the Freddie Mercury story. I've been aware of this thing in production for years, like even before there was the whole thing where it was it Sacha Baron Cohen? We have like version 1 of the script, blah 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 blah. There's a whole episode about how much I love Queen here. I adore Freddie Mercury, but Brian May, their lead guitarist, is like a hero and idol of mine. Speaking of weird split things, he's a lead guitarist in a uber famous rock band, and he's also an astrophysicist. Like, this man is like, he went back and picked up his PhD in his spare time, because of course he did. But anyway, so I adore Queen, and doing a definitive big budget film about Freddie and the band has been something that they've been approached about since the day Freddie died in 1991. Like, it's something that every Hollywood producer has been banging down the door for. And Roger Taylor, the drummer, and Brian May, who have basically carried on the band's legacy, they've turned down thing after thing because everybody wants to either make it sensational about Freddie being gay and dying of AIDS and not care a bit about the rest of the band, or they they just have this weird warped idea about the band. They don't want to really tell the band story. I have a lot of faith in where this script has gone from here. The fact that they did turn down Sacha Baron Cohen and went, we want to do justice to the band. Like this trailer drop, trailer is exactly what I was always hoping it would be. You're seeing things in it that those of us who are real Queenies go, oh good, they're going to show that. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Like Freddie Mercury did not start off as the crazy wild man we all got to know as a frontman. He was actually a really insecure, shy kid who had a thing about his front teeth, who like he just wanted to sing, he wanted to play piano. He was not the Freddie you think of throwing his fist in the air at Live Aid with his microphone. He did not pop out of the womb fully formed with that mustache. And Rami Malek, by the way, who he morphs into Freddie in such a full way. It's remarkable, even just from the trailer and the things that I've seen. If you ever watched Mr. Robot, you know him, but yeah.
I've been so eager to see him do something else besides Mr. Robot.
Oh my God. Yeah. He looks like this really looks like this could be a definitive role for him in a lot of ways. I feel like he's perfect for it. Also, shout out to Gwillem Lee, who has a hot second as Brian May in the trailer, because he has one line as Brian, but he sounds exactly like Dr. May. And Brian is as critical to the band in a lot of ways as Freddie was. And their push and pull, without this turning into a whole subsection about rock bands and how I feel like the more dichotomy you have between the members, the better their product is going to be.
Like us.
Yeah, I love it. It's when you have a band with a bunch of yes men, a lot of great stuff doesn't necessarily come out. It comes from that friction, from the push and pull. It makes you really refine your ideas. Brian May and Freddie Mercury really did a lot for that band. And I feel Brian deserves as much weight in the film, and I really do hope that what I've seen of Gwillem Lee only continues forward, because Brian is as important to this group. And not for nothing, I have to say that I do love that they give Freddie his sass moment when the record executive is sitting behind the table and he's like, but it's such a long song, 6 minutes. And Freddie, in Freddie fashion, goes, I pity your wife if you think 6 minutes is long.
That's a great line.
I'm so excited for this movie. It's dropping November 2nd, and if anybody's looking for me, Kay has carved out me time. But Kay has carved out me time at the theater. At the movie theater.
I love it.
So that's what's making me strange this week. I love Queen. So, as always, please subscribe, follow, and give us feedback on social media, guys.
Just send us a tweet or an Instagram message at Strange Deer and put hashtag Strange Deer at the end of it so we can find it.
Have a great week and keep being
Strange Deer.